Hey, how's it going? Hope all is going great. I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for wondering. Anyway, today we're going to talk about if the moon didn't exist and the things that would happen. So let's begin on this exciting journey with no moon. First off, if there was no moon, you couldn't moon anybody. That was a joke. Let's begin. So Earth's seasons would go frantic. While the Earth revolves around the sun, as most people know, it also rotates on its own axis, which turns out to be tilted. Currently, rotation axis of the Earth is inclined about 23.4 degrees, a value that does not change during the year. As a result, in a certain part of the year, the northern hemisphere is more oriented toward the sun than the southern one is. 6 months later, when the Earth is on the opposite side of its orbit around the sun, the southern hemisphere of the Earth is now facing towards the sun. In a way, both hemispheres of the Earth receive different amounts of sunlight and heat according to the time of year, as we know, annual seasons. The reason why the Earth is tilted on its axis goes back to its formation 4.5 billion years ago. When the early version of the Earth collided with another planetary body, its rotation axis inclined drastically. Then the attraction of the moon stabilized the inclination to the current one, the small fluctuations over the span of millennia. So what would happen if the moon didn't exist exactly? Some experts believe that the Earth would tilt up to 85 degrees more than now. Others are more modest and assume that the inclination could be up to 20 degrees instead. Either way, the Earth axis would tilt so much that the poles would be exposed to the sun, melting the ice caps, triggering extreme climate shifts. In fact, a change of only 1 degree of this inclination of our planet axis is enough to cause an ice age. That's a cool fact for the ice age. The oceans would come down is another factor of the matter if there is no moon. Among the best known effects that the moon produces Earth are ocean tides. Together with the sun and the moon is responsible for increasing and decreasing the level of our seas several times a day. As the moon revolves around the Earth, the former gravity pulls the ocean towards it, and thus high tides are created. In essence, the closer to the moon is, the higher the tide. To get an idea of the power of the moon over the oceans, the maximum height difference between low and high tide can be as much as 52 feet. If the moon were not able to create this effect, ocean tides would be significantly reduced. There would still be tides because the gravitational force of the sun also does its part over the Earth's water, although its attraction is less than that of the moon. In short, the tides would be reduced to 1/3 of their current size, and the oceans would become much calmer. Another fact of the matter is Earth's gravitational pull influences the height at which our spacecraft orbit the planet. For this reason, some structures in low orbit, such as the International Space Station, must make periodic corrections in its course to avoid falling to Earth's atmosphere. However, there are points in space with perfect balance between the gravity of the Earth and that of the moon. Anything within these points will remain relatively stationary with respect to both celestial bodies. Neither the Earth nor the moon will be able to attract the object until it falls into the surface. In 2018, Hungarian astronomers discovered that there are two of these points, L4 and L5. Not any other letter in the alphabet, but those L4 and L5. There are huge clouds of interplanetary dust orbiting Earth with a size up to 9 times larger than our planet. In addition to another study states that points could momentarily capture small asteroids and become temporarily mini moons of the Earth before resuming their journey. That's quite cute. If there is no moon, the points shared with the Earth would also disappear. The dust clouds trapped would disperse, ultimately interacting with Earth, or being blown away by solar wind and gravity of other planets. In the case of the asteroids, the lack of the moon would make these objects keep crossing outer space, unaltered trajectory until impacting with the larger body, perhaps our Earth. Scary, just like Impact the movie or 2012. How much of a shorter day would be another thing. One thing that makes our planet so habitable and fun is rotation of time. Currently, Earth completes one rotation every 24 hours, specifically 23 hours and 56 minutes. This allows the planet to have a pleasant climate for life because all of its surface has enough time to warm and cool according to the moment. But that was not always the case. Scientists have discovered it was way shorter of a day millions of years ago. When the Earth and the Moon formed 4.5 billion years ago, the planet was spinning so fast the day only lasted 4 hours. During the time when dinosaurs roamed Earth, the day already lasted 23 hours. And on June 30th of 2012, clocks around the world had to mark an extra second before zero to keep pace with longer days. The cause of the delay is nothing less than, you guessed it, the moon. It happens that the gravity of the moon exerts friction forces on the Earth itself and slows down the planet's rotation 2 milliseconds every 100 years, so we have some time. As the moon keeps moving away from Earth at a current rate of 3.82 centimeters per year, our world loses rotation energy and slows down its spin. If the moon hadn't not existed from the beginning, we could expect the days to be several hours shorter than what are today. If the moon disappeared now, the days would continue to be 24 hours long. But if everything remains the same as been so far, the days will last 25 hours in about 180 million years. Now let's talk about tectonic plates. If you have plates in your kitchen, this is different. By this point, we are already clear that the moon's gravity exerts great effects on the natural process of the Earth. For example, we saw the moon causes the ocean's tide. But the moon is so powerful over our world, it produces tides on solid ground as well. Earth tides are fluctuations in the relative height of the Earth's crust at a daily frequency similar to the ocean's tides. As the moon constantly pulls the surface of the Earth, the ground beneath us can rise up to 30 centimeters or 12 inches at a given day. It is believed that the moon oriented after the Earth lost much of its crust during its interplanetary collision. If the moon never had been formed, all that crust would have remained on Earth, filling its gaps in which the oceans lie today. Earth would not have tectonic plates because there would be no space for them to move. In addition, the Earth's surface would be made of a single piece, which would prevent the process needed to form mountains. We'd have a pretty A-cup Earth. There would be no mountains on our planet except for some scattered volcanoes. Assuming that there is still some ocean on Earth, the water would cover the entire surface of the planet. Some studies indicate the Earth tides are relative to the occurrence of small earthquakes. There's a possibility that weak earthquakes occur when the stress in the crust caused by the attraction of the moon is high. So in the event that the moon disappeared today and Earth tides are reduced considerably, so would the frequency of tremors. Another thing is we lose a shield against unwanted space rocks. Today we know that the Earth is bombarded by small meteorites at a higher frequency than previously thought. The number of meteorite impacts on our planet tripled during the last 290 million years to the point of 33 tons of space debris fall to Earth every day. Due to the size, and most of these rocks burn completely in the Earth's atmosphere. However, with the presence of the moon, the impact could be much higher, making the Earth a very hostile place. The moon is almost 3,500 kilometers in diameter, or 2,175 miles. About 27% of the Earth's diameter. Thanks to its large size, the moon has served as a protection of the Earth in cosmic rays of fun balls of rocks. During the planet's early days, the moon attracted to itself a large part of the debris and asteroids wandering the area of the solar system. Even today, the moon is still the small shield that protects us from meteor impacts. Studies show that the gravity of the moon helps to prevent more asteroid collision than the Earth could handle. Just between 2005 and 2013, NASA detected more than 300 impacts on the lunar surface. This means the absence of the moon, hundreds of such bodies could end up impacting us and destroying most of humanity and other animals such as koala bears. Another factor would be no more moon would mean no more gold. Gold, platinum, and other ingredients of metallic elements have proved extremely valuable to our civilization. We have used them in all kinds of inventions, cars, spaceships, jewelry. But again, it is likely we would have no such thing if it wasn't for the moon. To understand it, we must go a little deeper, because it's rocks, in the facts surrounding the formation of the moon. About 4.5 billion years ago, a rock size of the Mars, which scientists called Theia back then, hit squarely against the hot molten surface of early Earth. Both the outer layer of Theia and part of the Earth's mantle was ejected into space, and the Earth orbit formed the moon. However, the core of Theia stayed here on the Earth, and the metals that composed Theia became part of our planet. If the moon had never formed, the concentration of metals on Earth's mantle would be much lower. It happens that metals like gold and platinum tend to be attracted to iron. On a molten planet like Earth was at first, these metals would have sunk until they reached the iron core. That would have been trapped in the core forever and began to cool. Thanks to the formation of the moon, after impact, amounts of metallic elements were scattered on the Earth's mantle, and they waited actively dragged to the surface to us. Another factor, Earth's magnetic bubble, would be switched off forever. Earth's magnetic field is essential for the development of life on the planet. Such a magnetic bubble surrounds the Earth and constantly protects us from solar wind, a flow of charged particles that comes from the sun with the power to destroy our atmosphere. But the magnetosphere also protects us from radiation and cosmic rays from the solar system. The magnetic stratosphere exists due to something known as geonominal. I'm sorry I butchered that quite completely. Geometry or literature wasn't my best take in life. It is which the motion of the molten iron core of the Earth, such as the movement of the magnetic metals, cause the stratosphere to remain strong. The geodynamy exists thanks to the tidal forces that the moon exerts on the Earth. As the moon flattens and stretches the inner layers of the Earth with its gravitational force, if we did not have the moon and an exchange of rotation energy, Earth's core wouldn't stop moving, and then it would solidify. With the geodynamy lost, the magnetic of the planet would vanish, allowing the solar wind to devour the atmosphere completely. Without an atmosphere, every Earth reservoir on the Earth's surface would evaporate, and solar radiation would turn our world into a barren desert. In fact, Mars lost its magnetic atmosphere 4.2 billion years ago, becoming the scorched red rock it is today. So we would have 2 red rocks in our solar system if it wasn't for our glorious moon. Another factor would be wild weather. If there is no moon, the weather patterns on Earth would go crazy. So much so, it would need a straitjacket for the entire Earth. Of course, this assumes that the Earth still had an atmosphere. First, the destabilization of the Earth's axis due to the lack of the moon would cause extreme changes in global temperature. As the poles would remain longer than the sun's heat, the surrounding oceans could reach a temperature at least 47 degrees Celsius, or 116 degrees Fahrenheit. Meanwhile, the areas in the equator would suffer from glaciations. The phases of the moon and the sky also affect the rainfall of our region. When the moon is overhead, the atmospheric pressure and the air temperature increase, which translates into less rainfall for that place. If the moon did not exist, we could expect more rain, but the effect caused by the moon is so minimal that the increase in rainfall would be only 1%. In addition, we know that the planets with faster rotation also have stronger winds. For example, a day on Jupiter lasts about 10 hours, and its winds are about 160 to 320 miles per hour, or kilometers, equaling 100 to 200 miles per hour. In addition, Saturn completes a rotation in about 10.5 hours, having winds that can reach 1,800 kilometers per hour, or 1,180 miles per hour. And as we discussed earlier, without the moon, the Earth would rotate faster, with days that could essentially last several hours less. Under these conditions, and despite the obvious differences between planets, such as Earth and Jupiter in terms of size, the winds in our planet would reach 160 kilometers per hour, or 100 miles per hour, on any day. Hurricanes would have even stronger winds and greater destructive force as well. So instead of a Hurricane 4, it would be a Hurricane 13. Despite everything that has been previously discussed recently that I just talked about, we have not delved into the fact that complex life on Earth might not exist as well without a moon to take care of us. Without a moon, the Earth would have been hit by a greater number of large asteroids and bodies of planetary things. Under this scenario, life would have a very hard time to exist at all, which means a lower probability that living beings would have become more complex over time. It is believed that stabilization of the Earth's axis provided by the moon combined with the continental drift allowed the emergence of many different ecosystems across the planet. These ecosystems were more complex than those of time of dinosaurs, contributed to the emergence of mammals and ultimately humans. These ecosystems, which were more complex than those times of dinosaurs, becoming mammals and then humans. So had the moon never existed, being like us would... So if the moon never existed, humans like us would probably have a lower chance of becoming alive and well. And we would no longer have McDonald's and Taco Bell. But it is possible that not even life as we know would have appeared on Earth if the moon never helped us. We know that life oriented in the oceans with molecules merged in the form of nucleic acids, the elementary building blocks of life. Without the gravitational pull of the moon, there would not have been enough salt conjuring in the seawater for life-making chemistry. As the moon controls tides on Earth and the tides transport minerals needed for the substance of marine life, it is difficult to imagine life in the oceans without a natural satellite making it possible. It is also worth mentioning that without the Earth's magnetosphere, for which the moon is largely responsible for solar radiation, it would break down the oceans, erasing all chances of chemicals processing its life forms. Thankfully, the moon is still here. Thankfully, we have a moon. So, fantastic on the moon being great. What are your thoughts on the moon? Do you wish we had more moons? Do you wish we had a ray around us like Saturn? Let me know down in the comments below what you think. And I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. And please like and subscribe if you don't mind doing that as well. Have a great one. Bye.